Hello and welcome to a Blaseball Statistical History, a look at the Houston Spies development across the expansion era. During the Discipline era, the Spies opened strong, then spent some time building their team up before bouncing back for the end of the era. As they enter the expansion era, their lineup is quite strong with plenty of stars, but their rotation is intermittent. It leads them to second in their division, but only 10th overall. They can use Black Hole to their advantage, but not Sun 2. However, Season 12 is peanut time for the Spies, as Morrow Wilson has an allergic reaction and Denzel Scott is shelled. In the election, they take Night Triumphant from the Lovers and infuse their weakest pitcher, Sosa Hayes. Both lineup and rotation are stronger for the Will choices. And it is enough of a boost to push them to third in the league and into the postseason. However, they are knocked out in the division series by the Firefighters. The weather decides on total fairness, with 1 for and 1 against in both, but Blood Rain is more generous, with 6 positive drains. Fitzgerald Blackburn is swept away twice, then tragedy strikes as Theodore Holloway is incinerated and replaced by Norris Firestar, who is also then incinerated and replaced by Yurjo Kerfuffle. But the Spies also break new ground, as Comfort Septemberish hits the first natural cycle of ILB history and discovers the 6-blood Blagon Ball. This season, they take another player from the Lovers, but the Lovers reverse last season's swap. Their other will is used to move Emmett Tabby onto the rotation. They also gain a batter, as Stu Briggs is revoked from the Breath Mints. And they win a blessing, boosting the defence of their whole division. This is paid back in kind, as the Tacos improve Wildlow's batting, the Sunbeams improve Wildlow's pitching, and the Flowers improve Wildlow's base running. Despite this, the Spies don't look a great deal stronger. And they drop to 12th in the league. Black Hole works for them, but 4 players take trips to elsewhere. With their wills, they move Karato Bean to the Shadows in favour of Becca Solis. So then, when they send Karato to the Lovers, Fitzgerald Blackburn comes to the team's Shadows. They also swap a pitcher with the Shoe Thieves. The lineup still has strong players, but is gaining weaknesses. And they drop even lower, to 16th. Denzel Scott takes a brief trip elsewhere, and Becca Solis faces a consumer attack. The team then gain Avila Guzman in a feedback swap with the Dale, and get their first 3 parties. In the election, they retrieve Fitzgerald Blackburn from the Shadows, and send Morrow Wilson there instead. The Spies win 2 blessings, becoming middling for the next season and improving their defence. They also lose Stu Briggs as they roam to the Shoe Thieves. The shorter lineup is now way healthier, although the rotation still has gaps. It takes them up to 5th in the league as they head into another postseason. They make it to the league series before once again being eliminated by the Firefighters. It's an otherwise quiet season, as they gain 2 wins from Sun 2. In the election, they infuse Becca Solis's pitching before moving them to the Shadows. They win another 2 blessings, as Fitzgerald gains an item and the team gains the blood type, Psychic. This is now the strongest Spies we've seen yet. And they hold their position, entering another postseason. This time they are knocked out in the division series by the Dale. They steal a win with Black Hole, and Sosa Hayes takes a 2-day trip to elsewhere. There are 2 negative blood rains, but the only consumer attack is defended against. With their wills, they move Sosa into the Shadows and give Bennett Blue Sky a transfusion. They also win 2 blessings, as Bennett gains 1 item, then drops it in favour of another. The shortened rotation is very powerful, and the lineup also good. And the Spies use it to move up to 3rd, qualifying for the postseason, but losing out in the wildcard round to the Sunbeams. Denzel Scott gets a positive blood rain, and a feedback delivers Dudley Mueller to the team from the Sunbeams. 2 players are swept elsewhere, and 2 face consumer attacks, but Reese Clark defends against theirs. Then Comfort Septemberish is shelled. The Spies get 3 gifts: an item, the home field advantage, and Reese Clark becomes ambitious. Yurjo is alternated, and then sent to the Shadows to bring Sosa Hayes onto the lineup. They also win 4 blessings. Alexandria Rosales becomes undefined, the shadow pitching is adjusted, the lineup was sorted by divinity, and Shadows players gained bats. They also gain a batter as Jasper Blather roams from the Wild Wings. The team go from strength to strength. But in Season 19, being good is bad, and the Spies tumble to 21st in the league. They join the rest of the league in the seasonal reading as Yongho Garcia becomes an Undertaker. They gain 3 wins from Sun 2, but lose 1 to the Black Hole. A player returns from their cross-season elsewhere visit, but 3 more are swept away. There are 3 positive blood rains to 1 negative, and also 4 parties. Fax Machine makes a single change to the rotation, and there are 2 more changes, as Feedback sends Sosa Hayes to the Georges in exchange for Siobhan Chark, who is later sent to the Sunbeams in exchange for Quack Enjoyable. The Spies get 2 gifts, 2 modifications making them late to the party and soundproof. Their low finish entitles them to 3 wills, which they use to move an item, re-roll Yongho Garcia from Friend of Crows to Walk in the Park, and to send Mohammed Picklestein to the Shadows. After just 1 season, Jasper Blather roams away to the Jazz Hands, but the Spies do gain Pudge Nakamoto, who roams out of the Hall of Flame. The rotation is now only 2 players long, but every player in the roster has plenty of stars. And it proves a dominant team this season, as they finish second in the league, making it all the way to the final of the postseason, before losing in a close-fought series with the Mechanics. They gain 3 wins from the weather, but Mohammed Picklestein has an allergic peanut reaction. The Spies are under attack, with 16 consumers trying their luck, but 12 are unsuccessful. 4 players are swept elsewhere, and Fax Machine is swapping Mohammed and Bennett. 4 gifts are granted to the Spies, as they gain 3 items and a replica of Valentine Games. In the election, they use their wills to move Math Velasquez to the Shadows and magnify Dudley Mueller, who is then stolen by the Tigers, with Paula Mason sent in return. The Spies win 2 blessings, taking Commissioner Vapor from the Moist Talkers and flipping the 5 players with the lowest E-density. Quack Enjoyable also gains the green light modification thanks to the worms. However, Pudge then joins the worms, roaming away. The consumer attacks have dented the team a little. Season 21 sees a fall, as they finish 13th in the league. They are wildcarded into the postseason and make it as far as the division round before being knocked out by the Tacos. They gain 11 wins from the weather, alongside a positive blood rain for Alexandria Rosales and a party for Commissioner Vapor, before the weather turns on them and sweeps 6 players elsewhere. This includes Comfort Septemberish, who whilst still elsewhere is feedbacked to the Sunbeams in exchange for Siobhan Chark. There are 6 consumer attacks with 4 defences, then Voicemail introduces Math Velasquez to the lineup, and Fax Machine moves Plums Blather in and out of the Shadows. 3 gifts grants them the early to the party and fireproof modifications, as well as an item. A quiet election, with only their wills, the Spies reclaim the feedbacked Comfort Septemberish from the Jazz Hands who had gained them in the election, and they infuse Donya Bailey. The team has some good players still, but as every team improves, they are not as standout as they have been previously, which is proved by their drop to 16th. It does qualify them for the underbracket, where they advance to the League Series before meeting their match in the Dalle. They are given 12 additional wins from the weather, but also a negative blood rain for Bennett Blue Sky. Fitzgerald Blackburn returns from elsewhere, but departs again at the end of the season, as well as 2 teammates. There are also 9 parties. And plenty of changes, as Voicemail makes 4 swaps to the lineup, mostly unsure of math. Plus, Fax Machine's 9 changes, as Plums and Alexandria repeatedly swap places, before Alexandria becomes a batter. They receive 2 gifts, becoming fireproof and gaining an item. In the election, they use their wills to magnify Commissioner Vapor and infuse Donya Bailey again. They have to send a Shadows player to the garages, then Paula Mason becomes skipping and a subtractor due to the worms and Fridays. The team appear strong, but it may be deceptive. Season 23 sees them finish 6th in the league, but 4th in their division, missing out on the postseason. They gain 11 wins from the weather, but watch as it sweeps 4 players to elsewhere, including 3 for the last third of the season. Dunlap Figueroa passes through with the 5th base before heading on to the Mints. The Thieves Guild steals 1 Shadows player from the Dale, but sacrifices Donya Bailey, Math Velasquez and Yurjo Kerfuffle to the Sunbeams, Dale and Tigers respectively. Fax Machine makes 6 changes with Chet Takahashi, and Voicemail brings Siobhan Chark onto the lineup, only for them to be feedbacked to the Georges in exchange for Sosa Hayes, who feedbacked there from the Spies in Season 19. As a result of 2 gifts, the team become late to the party and player items gain the A-Dense element. They opt for the Roamless party favour in the election and join the rest of the league in becoming under review. They send a Shadows player to the Tacos and, as a result of a Sunbeams blessing, gain the modification Walk in the Park. With their opening 3 batters elsewhere, it is hard to tell how the team will fare. But they come second in their new division of the Desert and 5th of the original 24 ILB teams. They are helped on their way by 6 wins from Sun 30 and a party for Commissioner Vapor. Their 3 missing players return, but Aoife does choose to go again. Fax Machine makes 5 more changes with Plums, Chet and Bennett. The Spies gain a Shadows player from the Flowers and defend against 5 of the 6 consumer attacks. They also experience 2 night shifts. In Season 24, they head straight for the desert, becoming part of the Desert Bus for Roth before finishing the season there. During the expansion era, the Spies faced 2 incinerations and the most feedbacks of Wild Low with 6, but no reverbs. They also benefited from 18 parties. They had 2 allergic peanut reactions, but Blood Rain was in their favour with 11 positive to 4 negative. Black Hole was against them with 12 positive to 16 negative, and Sun 2 was neutral with 10 of each. They had 2 players shelled, but none unstable, observed or redacted. They had 2 night shifts and 6 voicemails, as well as the most fax machines of the division with 25. They also lost the most Shadows players of Wild Low, saying goodbye to 3, but they did gain 2. 30 of their players were swept elsewhere, with the longest stay lasting 74 days. They gained 31 wins from Sun 30, but faced 32 consumer attacks. Their Arcana the Moon appeared in 1 seasonal reading. They competed in 6 postseasons, once as a wild card, but won none, with their highest finish being runner-up. They also qualified for 1 underbracket. They were given 16 gifts, used 23 wills, and won 13 blessings. At the end of the era, the Spies are scattered. Their lineup opens well, but tails off, and the rotation has issues. The team would need some work to get back to its glory days. Thank you for joining me for another Blaxplanation. I'll be back with more Blaseball fun and facts soon, but until then, rejoice, play ball.